Dear students, today I'll discuss on immunoglobulins. I'll tell you how immunoglobulins were discovered, what are their structures and how they function in our system. Immunoglobulins are soluble proteins and are released from activated B lymphocytes. B lymphocytes are generated in our bone marrow, and after their generation in the bone marrow they come to blood. They move in blood and lymphatic system, and as they encounter an antigen, the B cell gets activated. On the cell surface of a B cell there are receptors. They are called B cell receptors or membrane bound immunoglobulin molecules. Now, as a B cell encounters an antigen, with the help of the membrane bound immunoglobulin, the B cell gets activated and it is converted to plasma cells and memory cells. Plasma cells secrete immunoglobulin molecules and memory cells keep the memory of the antigen and act in future against the same antigen. Now, immunoglobulins were discovered by Arne Tiselius and Elvin Cabot in 1939. They did an experiment. They immunized a rabbit with ovalbumin. That is, they injected ovalbumin into a rabbit, they collected the serum and they divided the serum into two aliquots, A and B. They electrophoresed A aliquot directly and they added the antigen ovalbumin into the B aliquot again. They saw a precipitate, they removed the precipitate and then they electrophoresed the sample. When they compared the two electrophoretic profiles, they saw that there are 4 peaks in the A aliquot, whereas in the B aliquot, which had been reacted with the antigen, 3 peaks are present. And that means in the B aliquot, a drop in gamma globulin they observed. So they concluded that gamma globulin fraction contains a molecule which is anti to the antigen, and they named it antibody and or immunoglobulin. Later, Gerald Edelman and Rodney Robert Porter, they discovered the structure of the immunoglobulin molecule. Edelman treated the immunoglobulins with mercaptoethanol, and he found that the immunoglobulin molecule is composed of 2 long chains and 2 short chains. He called the long chains heavy chains and short chains light chains. Porter did another experiment where he digested the immunoglobulin molecule with the protease papain, and he got 3 fragments, 2 identical fragments and 1 dissimilar fragment. Suppose the identical fragments, we call it A, and the dissimilar fragment B. They used these A fragments to immunize goat. They collected the serum or the immunoglobulins, and the immunoglobulins raised against fragment A was found to react with both the heavy chain as well as light chain. That means A fragment contains both the part of the heavy chain and light chain. When B fragment was used to immunize goat and the antiserum was collected, that antiserum reacted only with the heavy chain part. That means B fragment is composed of only heavy chains, and A fragment was found to bind to the antigen. Thus, they named A fragment as FAB, or fragment responsible for antigen binding. And as they were working, they were storing all the fragments into refrigerator. They found that fragment B got crystallized at cold storage. So they named it FC, C for crystallization. Another experiment showed that when immunoglobulins were digested with another protease, pepsin, a large fragment was obtained. And combining all this data, they thought that the immunoglobulin structure will be something like this. Each immunoglobulin molecule is composed of 2 heavy chains and 2 light chains. Each light chain is joined to each heavy chain through interchain disulfide bond and forms a dimer. 2 such dimers are joined together by again interchain disulfide linkages. Thus, each immunoglobulin molecule is called a dimer of dimers. And each light chain has a molecular weight of 25 kilodalton and each heavy chain has a molecular weight of 50 kilodalton. from the N-terminal end, almost 110 amino acid residue sequence, it shows maximum variation among different immunoglobulin molecules. And this part is responsible for binding to antigen. So this fragment is called FAB fragment, or fragment responsible for antigen binding. Whereas rest of the part of the heavy chain and light chain, the sequence is to some extent constant, and this fragment is called Fc region. The biological activity is mainly mediated by the Fc region of an immunoglobulin molecule. And if we look into the constant region of light chain, then we will see all the human light chain constant regions either have kappa sequence or lambda sequence. That means two sequences are present in human for the constant region of light chain, either kappa or lambda. However, for the heavy chain constant region, 5 sequences are present in human. If the sequence, a particular sequence is named mu, when in an immunoglobulin molecule, the constant region of heavy chain is composed of mu sequence, that immunoglobulin is called IgM. Now, if the constant region sequence is gamma, then the immunoglobulin is called IgG. When the sequence is epsilon, it is called IgE. When the sequence is delta, it is called IgD. And when the sequence is alpha, the immunoglobulin is called IgA. So 5 different constant region sequences are present in human, and each of them is called an isotype. So there are 5 isotypes of immunoglobulins are present in our system. Now, if we look into the distribution of different isotypes in our blood, then we will see that percentage of IgG is maximum in our blood. Almost 75% or 80% IgG is found at any time in our serum. IgA and IgM, almost 10 to 15% of them are present in our serum, and IgD and IgE are found at a very low concentration in our serum. Now, if we look into the fine structure of an immunoglobulin molecule, then we will see that from the N-terminal end, about 100 or 110 amino acid sequence forms a domain-like structure. Okay, homologous regions are found in both the heavy chains and light chains. Each homologous region is composed of 100 or 110 amino acids, and each homologous region is called a domain or a unit. Each light chain contains 2 such domains, one at the variable region, one at the constant region. For heavy chain, there are 4 domains in IgA, IgG and IgD, and 5 domains in IgM and IgE. 1 domain in the variable region and 3 domains in the constant region of IgA, IgG and IgD. Whereas in case of IgM and IgE, there are 4 domains at the constant region. Thus, the length of IgA, IgG and IgD, total length of the heavy chain is 440 amino acids, whereas in case of IgM and IgE, 550 amino acids, since each domain is composed of 110 amino acid residues. In case of IgA, IgG and IgD, an additional region is present between CH1 and CH2 domains. This region is called hinge region. Hinge region is mainly composed of proline residues, and due to the presence of proline residues, this region is flexible, and the 2 Fab fragments, each immunoglobulin has 2 FAB fragments, antigen binding sites, and the Fab fragments can rotate. They have segmental flexibility. They can rotate at any angle, and they can accommodate themselves according to the size of the antigen. And CH1 and Cl, CH1 domain in the heavy chain, Cl domain in the light chain, they actually help the Fab fragment to move. Now, depending on the hinge region, length of the hinge region and number of disulfide linkages, the IgG isotype can be divided into many sub-isotypes. The disulfide linkages are found between cysteine residues present on both the heavy chains. IgG isotype is divided into 4 sub-isotypes, IgG 1, 2, 3 and 4. In IgG3, there are 11 interchain disulfide linkages present in the hinge region. Thus, the hinge region is long, quite long here. In case of IgG2 and IgG4, there are 4 disulfide linkages present, whereas in case of IgG1, there are only 2 disulfide linkages present at the hinge region. And due to these structural changes, their properties also differ. Immunoglobulins are glycoproteins. That means immunoglobulins have carbohydrate molecules attached to it. In case of immunoglobulin, carbohydrate molecules are present in between the CH2 domains. That means between two domains of the constant region of heavy chain.
Ma'am, I have a question. What is the role of these carbohydrates in the immunoglobulin molecule?
Presence of carbohydrates increases the solubility of immunoglobulin molecules. And another point is there, due to the presence of carbohydrate molecules in between these two domains protrude out, and these domains are actually responsible for binding to other molecules during mediating biological activity. Okay, so presence of carbohydrate provides solubility and increases solubility of immunoglobulin molecule and helps in the biological activity of the immunoglobulin molecule. Now, if we look into the fine structure of the variable domain, then we will see that each domain is composed of a sandwich-like structure, and the sandwich is made of 2 beta sheets. Now, if we check the variability at each position, then we can find out the regions where variability is maximum. Now, how can we determine variability? For that, we have to use this formula, where we have to detect the number of different amino acids present at a given position divided by frequency of the most common amino acid. Suppose we have sequenced 100 heavy chains. Among them, 51 heavy chains contain serine residue at position 5. Clear? So, this is the most common amino acid, and its frequency will be 51 divided by 100, that is 0.51. And suppose in rest of the heavy chains, that is in 49 heavy chains, 4 different amino acids are present. So, total number of amino acids at a position of 5, at position 5, fifth residue is 5 divided by frequency of serine. It will give us the value of variability. Thus, if we calculate variability at each position of the polypeptide chain, and then if we plot it, then variability plot of heavy chain will show this graph plot, where we can see that variability is maximum at 3 regions. In the variable region of 110 amino acid, 3 regions contain maximum variability. These 3 regions are called hypervariable regions. Similarly, if we plot variability for light chain, variability on the y-axis and number of residues on the x-axis, then for the light chain also we will see 3 hypervariable regions. So, on each arm there are 6 hypervariable regions, 3 for heavy chain, 3 for light chain, and these 6 hypervariable regions are actually responsible for binding to an antigen. Now, we know antigen-antibody binding occurs through different non-covalent interactions, hydrogen bonding, van der Waals force, ionic interaction, etc. That means the site where the antibody binds, that site on the antigen must be complementary to these hypervariable regions. Thus, the hypervariable regions are also called complementarity determining regions or CDR. So, there are 6 CDRs on each arm. So, 6 CDRs on each arm. So, each immunoglobulin molecule has 2 arms. So, theoretically they can bind to 2 antigens at a time if the antigens are small. For a large antigen, only one can be bound to an immunoglobulin molecule. Now, I told you that B cells also have the B cell receptors present on B cells. They are also membrane bound immunoglobulin. Clear? And after the activation of B cell, the immunoglobulins secreted are called secretory immunoglobulins. So, what is the difference between a membrane bound immunoglobulin and a secretory immunoglobulin? Clear? Now, we know that for a protein to remain bound on a membrane, what is needed? Transmembrane region or hydrophobic region which will hold the protein to the membrane. So, if we look into the carboxy terminal domain of the membrane bound immunoglobulin, then we can see a transmembrane region made of hydrophobic amino acids. It is needed to hold the immunoglobulin molecule on the surface, okay, but it is not needed in the secretory immunoglobulin molecule. So, this region is absent in the secretory immunoglobulins. Now, membrane bound immunoglobulins have a very short cytoplasmic tail, but we know that the B cell receptor or the membrane bound immunoglobulin binds to an antigen, then it sends a signal inside the cell, then that B cell gets activated. But the cytoplasmic tail of membrane bound immunoglobulin is too short to transduce any signal. So, to transduce the signal, it needs help from 2 other proteins. They are called IgA and IgB. This dimer has a long cytoplasmic tail, and as the membrane bound immunoglobulin binds to an antigen, the membrane bound immunoglobulin changes its conformation. Now it interacts with the dimer Ig alpha, Ig beta, and Ig alpha, Ig beta actually sends the signal inside the B cell. So, membrane bound immunoglobulin along with Ig alpha and Ig beta produce the B cell receptor. Now, I will tell you about the effector functions mediated by immunoglobulin molecules. Binding of antigen to an immunoglobulin means nothing. As an immunoglobulin binds to an antigen, a complex is formed called immune complex. The immune complex must be removed from the system. Now, immunoglobulins can function in a number of ways. Like, there are secretory immunoglobulins present in our tears, saliva, in all the portals of entry. And as soon as an antigen or foreign particle enters through the portals of entry, these immunoglobulins bind to them and stop or prevent them from attaching to the cells of our system. Then they are washed away from the system. Also, binding of antibody to an antigen changes conformation of the antibody at the Fc region. Now, there are many phagocytic cells in our immune system like macrophages, dendritic cells. On their surface, there are receptors for the Fc region of an antibody. So, antigen covered with antibody, it binds to the phagocytic cell, and phagocytic cell quickly phagocytose the complex. That means presence of antibodies enhancing the phagocytic activity or ability of the phagocyte. That means here antibodies are acting as opsonins. Also, binding of antibody to antigen activates a system called complement system. It is a part of our immune system. It is composed of many soluble proteins present in our serum. Clear? And one pathway of complement system is called antibody dependent complement system. Clear? In this pathway, as an antibody binds to an antigen, there is conformation change occurs in the Fc region. Now, complement proteins bind to it and complement system gets activated. Finally, complement proteins form a pore on the bacterial surface if the antigen is a bacterium on the bacterium surface, and that pore, it is called MAC or membrane attack complex, it will lyse the bacterial cell. So, antibodies have different functions, and all the functions are mainly mediated by the Fc part or the constant region of an immunoglobulin. So each immunoglobulin has two fragments. One is responsible for antigen binding and the other one is responsible for mediating the biological activity.